you're just joining us, this is N24 TV, your innovative news, information, and entertainment. And I am Sukai Jarjusey. Thank you for joining us once again, yet another edition of the ESUS. And today with me here, I have Dr. CEESAY, who is the party leader and founder of CA Citizens Alliance. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here, but before going into the discussion, can you just take us through Dr. CEESAY? Who is he?
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And Dr. CEESAY is a Gambian, born in Brikama. Did my primary schooling in Brikama until after sitting to the primary 6 common entrance, which I failed. And because I failed it, I could not get access to one of the high schools that were available at that time. Because of that, I dropped out of school for almost 1 year. And as a result, my mother took me to Sierra Leone to finish my education. That's why I did my high school education. Came back in the mid-90s after graduating after doing the O-levels in Form 5 in Sierra Leone. I applied for jobs in the Gambia. I could not get jobs. I applied for visas for many countries. I could not get visas. And then finally, I got an opportunity to go to Sweden. I was in Sweden in the mid-90s. I was working initially. Then later, it dawned on me that I wanted to be part of that generation of Gambians that will transform and build a modern Gambia. And because of that, I made a shift from working to studying. I studied political science at the University of Stockholm in Sweden. And then graduated with political science degree. Then I proceeded to Edinburgh University to do my master's in African politics, which I completed in 2008-9. And then I realized that now it's time for me to go back and give back to Gambia. So I came home in 2009 and started working at the university, teaching political science.
As a political science lecturer,
yes.
Definitely.
So whilst there, at some point, I was teaching political science. I became head of the political science department. I also initiated and directed the Masters in International Relations program. Then in between, I went back to do my PhD in Edinburgh, came back and continued teaching at UTG. Whilst I was in Sweden, I was the president of the Gambian Association in Stockholm. I was also president of the Faculty and Staff Association at UTG. I was teaching at UTG until 2 years last year, when I took leave of absence to focus on politics.
That is amazing. Well, if you're just joining us, this is N24 TV. So we've seen that last month you called on a press conference to talk to journalists regarding the 10 bullet points that CA has. Can you take us through that?
Well, actually, the 10-point plan is a culmination of our diagnosis of the country. Because what is politics is about solving social, economic, and other problems of society. And we believe that if we enter politics, we should have an agenda that we can clearly articulate and sell to the Gambian people to make them understand that this is the solution to our complex problems in every sector. Today, we all know that there are problems. So we did a lot of work in terms of looking at the benchmarks, the projections, the gaps, the opportunities that the Gambia has, and what can be done to really put the path on the country on a path towards democracy and development, particularly development. And we came up with the 10-point plan, the 10-point promise, that in our first 5 years in office, Gambians can hold us accountable to this. This is our promise to the Gambian people, that one, we will diversify the Gambian economy. We will ensure that we conduct a civil service reform, and also reform the state-owned enterprises, and also fight corruption. Because today, our income stream is very narrow. That is revenue. Governments do two things: you create revenue and you make expenditures on social projects and security, education, health. But if you don't have enough, if you don't have the capacity to raise enough money, you will always be having what they call a budget deficit, and also always relying on international grants and loans. To reduce the budget deficit and also to reduce our reliance and dependence on grants and loans, we need to find innovative ways of how we can expand our revenue stream in the Gambia here by diversifying our economy, by looking at critical sectors, agriculture, tourism, our state-owned enterprises, our geostrategic location. What can we do in terms of investments, savings? What can we do to ensure that we diversify our economy? We create a system whereby we can generate more revenue, create wealth, in turn which will create growth, and then create jobs for young people as well. But at the same time also, that will not be possible or we can reap the benefit of this if we don't have a proper, well-efficient, well-effective civil service.
Okay.
So we need to reform the civil service to make it more fit for purpose, to motivate the staff, to increase pay, to digitize the civil service and make it more efficient and streamline it. But equally important is to ensure that the state-owned enterprises, the NAWEX, the Ports Authority, the GAMTELs, all these state-owned enterprises, the civil aviation, petroleum, how do we really restructure and reform it so that they serve the two purposes they're supposed to serve? They serve it with maximal, they serve it with maximum. That is service to the people, but also bringing dividend to government. And currently it is lacking. For example, now government is spending a lot of money to subsidize now, because NAWEC has been insolvent since 2011, and which is not supposed to be the case.
Definitely.
So how do we do a structural reform of the state-owned enterprises to change the way they work in terms of management, so that they can serve the population, but also bring dividend and royalties to government? So we also plan, but also if we make money, but that money is still leaked, there is so much leakage through corruption, then our purpose of generating wealth will be defeated. So we say we're going to find measures to fight corruption by coming up with strong institutions that can promote accountability and transparency. At the same time, making sure there are savings in government and make sure that we put the right people in the right jobs, we give incentive, but also come out with punitive actions to fight corruption. That is number one. Number two, obviously, is we promise to provide 300,000 jobs in our first 5 years in office. Not only that, but decent job. That is why we are going to impose progressively a minimum wage.
And a lot of people are doubting, like, how is that going to be possible?
Well, you cannot doubt it. Let me tell you something. Today, I'll give you just one example in the service sector. I wouldn't talk agricultural sector, marine and other sectors because of lack of time. But just look at the tourism sector, the service sector. Today, we are only able to bring on average 200,000 tourists every year. With a little bit of innovation in the sector, by coming with new products, innovative products, and expanding the tourism sector, diversifying it, and coming up with new ideas. And we can attract 1 million tourists every year. And every 10 tourists that comes to a country, one job is provided.
Okay.
So 1 million tourists is 200,000 jobs in the tourism sector in this value chain.
Of course.
Cape Verde was attracting 176,000 tourists average 5, 6, 7 years ago. Gambia was ahead of them. Today they're attracting 800,000 tourists because of the way they've really transformed their tourism sector. Morocco is attracting 10 million tourists. And Gambia is well placed, just strategically. We have a better climate.
Of course.
We are much closer. We have nicer people, nicer culture, nicer food, nicer existing historical artifacts. It's just to make sure that we work on the tourism sector, come up with new ideas, and make it boom. That's the service sector alone. I haven't even touched the agricultural sector yet, not the marine sector, not even the recreational sector, the arts, the music, the sports. We have not touched that yet. So 100,000 jobs is nothing within 5 years. But not only jobs, but decent jobs that are well paid, so that every Gambian, no matter what kind of job you are doing, you live a dignified life. You can feed yourself, you can feed your family, you can save some money and go on holidays and go to nice restaurants once in a while, like you, like other young people. So obviously, is to provide those jobs and impose a minimum wage progress so that we know that there's a floor in terms of how much money every Gambian should be paid when you are working. By making sure that we bring in stringent labor laws to ensure no Gambian is exploited in the workplace, to ensure there are adequate maternal and paternal holidays, adequate paid holidays, and that job workers are protected from discrimination, especially young women who are mostly discriminated in the workplaces. We are going to make sure that doesn't happen. In addition to that, we understand that many women who are entrepreneurs lack access to capital because the current existing financial institutions, the amount of interest they charge is too much. We are going to establish system schemes to make sure women entrepreneurs across the country, whether you are in farming, into gardening, into petty trading, you have access to cheap finance so you can do and expand your business. Number 3, we are also planning to ensure that we invest in the energy sector to move away from using fossil fuel and generators to green energy over the medium and long term, to ensure that we renew and revitalize our grid so that the energy sector fulfills its maximum potential, so that also we ensure that we invest in water and sanitation so that every Gambian can have water. every Gambian home should have access to water. We don't believe in a situation whereby we in the Combos will get access to clean water in our homes, while those in rural Gambia have to go to well or to public taps. We want to bring in systems and investments so that every Gambian has clean water in their homes. Healthcare is number 4, whereby we ensure that we bring equity in terms of access, equity in terms of service in the healthcare sector, so that we invest the existing primary healthcare, tertiary healthcare facilities will be upgraded, like the main hospitals, the referral hospitals will be upgraded with more proper staff, proper equipment, but also we ensure that we invest in primary healthcare so that we have a scheme called healthcare where you are. You don't have to travel kilometers to access healthcare. The woman in Sibito should not travel 12 kilometers to Quinella to give birth on the back of a donkey cart at night when it's raining. We should have proper clinics in Sibito where women can have access to healthcare. Education will be reformed. We will make investments in education to shift a focus away only on academic education, but also on vocational education, skills building.
Skill centers.
So that young people who are not academically oriented can make a living through skills by building skills and investing in skill centers. That is education. We'll talk about agriculture. To invest in agriculture, we are going to expend 10% of the budget to agriculture to make sure farmers have basic farming implements, farmers have access to proper seeds, access to fertilizers, and also we change the land tenure system so that we encourage young people to also come into farming, to shift away from subsistence farming to commercial large-scale farming by ensuring that we invest in irrigation systems and make sure that rainwater is harvested and used for that purpose. Our underground water is used for that purpose, but also our surface water is used for that purpose. And also ensuring that we shift away from seasonal agriculture around the year agriculture, and also shift away from subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture. Also, we talked about the environment. We need to protect our environment, our marine resources, our flora and fauna. And this is linked to also tourism. Gambia has over 600 bird species, beautiful birds, and they are migrating because we are destroying the ecosystem. And this will destroy our tourism sector as well. So how do we do to ensure that our marine resources are protected so the next generation coming will also benefit from it? The whole concept of what they call sustainable development. That is, we benefit from the resources of today for development, but also don't destroy it for the next generation as well.
Sure.
Another thing that we also have in the 10-point plan is that we are going to build 100,000 homes.
100,000 homes.
Yes, for mainly, particularly focusing on low-income earners, like teachers, nurses.
Civil servants.
Exactly. But also young people like you, so that you can own your, especially young women like you, can own your own home. We think it's unfair for someone to serve your country for 40 years and you die renting and leave your young family renting. So we are going to invest in 100,000 homes through public-private partnerships as well. Security is also among the 10-point promise. We are promising that we are going to equip, first we are going to increase living standards. So young people can be engaged and they get jobs, so that we reduce crime, as a way of reducing crime, but also equipping the police so they can focus on 21st century policing by giving them modern equipments and modern digital infrastructures. And also, we're also going to invest in the road networks, making sure that we expand and strengthen road networks.
That is really needed in the country right now.
Exactly, but also focus on the public transportation so that you don't have to beg for lift to go to work, or you don't have to be at the mercy of commercial drivers to get to work, who will charge 4 or 5 fares from between Picam and Westfield. So, and also invest in the digital infrastructure, because we believe that every household should have access to electricity, access to water, access to broadband. Information is key. It's becoming vital, because when people are informed, they live a better life, they live a more dignified life. So this is a 10-point plan that we are promising to implement in our first 5 years in office.
So that is very clear. If you're just joining us, this is N24 TV, your innovative news, information and entertainment. Like I said earlier, it's Dr. Ismail CEESAY that we have here in the studio, the party leader of CA Citizens Alliance. Doctor, xam naa dinañ seet si olof bi su ñëwee si yow mi nga xamante ne bokk nga si dinañ wax ne sax more than 20 parti yi nga xamante ne am nañ leen fii ci biir Gambia bi nga bokk si ñuy jongante si ñooñu noonu. When it comes to su fekkee ne yàlla def na nga jër nguur the first 90 days yi lan la nga xamante ne loolu la ngay njëkk a prioritize soo nekkee si State House the first 90 days.
mooy réformes yi pour koom-koom bi mën a yaatu, parce que tey nguur mën a toog doo mën a def benn liggéey su dee xaalis amut, koom-koom bi amut. Doo mën a invest education, mooy jàng mooy wér-gu-yaram bi, jàng ak jàngale bi si lépp si béy bi lépp dafa soxla alal kon ñu lu ñu def mooy dañoo wécci doxalini nguur bi pour ñu gis ne koom-koom bi yaatal nañ ko suñ ko yaatalee su boobaa ñu mën a invest dugal xaalis bi si nit ñi soit képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga di ko fii si ngor ak si teraanga te tamit si loo mun di nekk mu jik la nga tekki si su nekkee béykat nga nekk sa béy bi njëriñ la su nekkee kapenta yow mi nga xam ne yaa ngi nekk journaliste yow tamit nga am dundi boo xam ne moo tax nga nekk si ngor kon ñu lu ñu njëkk a def mooy ne dañoo wëcci doxalini nguur gi ñu isi réforme si xam ne mooy tax ba alali nguur gi ñu mun koo jël dugal ko si nit ñi kon ñu gis ne mooy financial reform si fiscal discipline luy fiscal discipline mooy alali nguur gi naka lañ ko partagé ñu gis ne ñëpp am si ñu mën a liggéey réew mi kon mooy lu nga xam ne ñun loolu la ñu njëkk a focus am
ok so su ñëwee si time bi jamono bu nekk nii xam nañ ne élection comme ñu bëri dañoo wax ne élection yi Gambia right now dafa salte la xam ne musuñ ko woon a am moo nekk di xew right now nga dugga si social media bi nga nekk di gis insult si bullying yi and most especially tribal issues what is your take on that
ñu ngi ko ñaawlu gis ne politique ñu bari xamuñ luy politique du xaste du saaga du xuloo du xeex du mbiri xeet politique mooy lan pexe politique mooy pexe ne am nañ ay jafe-jafe si dëkk bi yan pexe la ñoo isi pour saafaral jafe-jafe yooyu kii nekk politicien ma nekk politicien yow nga nekk politicien yow nga ne pexe yi ñooy mën a dox ma ne déet pexe yi la yow nga ne déet pexe yi la léegi askan wi léegi ñooy seet kan lañ gëm ak kañ lañ yaakaar si jikkoom ak si pexeem nga dooleel ko jox ko karta ba dem defi liggéey bi jox ko juróomi at su ko defutee comme ni mu ko waxee juróomi at bu ñu génne ko su ko defee ñu yokkal ko mandat am waaye politique nag ñu bari dañ foog ne politique xuloo la saaga la xeex la mbiri xeet la waaye ñun mi nga xam ne ñoo si politique ñun jiiti parti ñu war di waxtaan ak askan bi di leen di leen wax lan mooy njëriñu politique politique du saaga du xeeste lu ñoo gis te ñu ngi koo ñaawlu te man dama fi ne ñun ñëpp suñu warugar la mooy ñun mi nga ne politicien lañ journaliste ngeen ñi nga xam ñi ngi jàngal si école yi waajur yi ustaas yi ñëpp képp koo xam ne am nga plateforme fooy waxee rek nga waxtaan ak sa ñi la toppa ak askan wi wax leen lan mooy politique ak mbiri xeet mbiri saaga mbiri xaaste si politique lu moo jur pour dëkka ñëpp gis nañ lu xew Rwanda ak Kenya ak Central African Republic ak yeneen dëkk yoo xam ne tey yaaxu nañ parce que façon politique yi nii kon tey ñu ngi si problème boo xam ne ñun ñëpp suñu warugal la pour ñu mën a waxtaan ak askan wi waxtaan ak nit ñi leen wax leen lan mooy politique ak naka lañ di doxalee politique
xam naa sax ñu bëri dañoo faral di wax ne Gambien si xamuñ lan moo nekk démocratie dañ leen war a jàngal waaye yow gis nañ ne yaa ngi nekkoon nga political science lecturer si université bi kon nag réeréwul mbir pour nit ñi xam ne sax yow xam nga lu bëri si yi fi politics waaye sax su ñëwee si wàllum comme ni ma ko waxee woon partis yi bëri nañ fi waaye since bu last a person be coming out to declare his candidacy mu nekk Essa Faal ñu bëri dinañ wax ne suñ xoolee Essa Faal ñu xool Halifa Sallah ñu xool Dr Ismaila Ceesay dafa mel ni seen agenda yi ak seen points yi it's more like the same ndax ñetta ñi ma first ask la this question di ngeen appreciate for the sake of Gambia to form a coalition since ñu ne seen agenda si is more like the same to take the Gambia
well so the agenda is like the same man loolu d'accord ma si tamit dégg man xam naa agenda doy uti na ak agenda Citizens Alliance si yenn fànna waaye tamit nekk na benn si yeneen fànna su ñëwee si mbir naka ñoo liggéeyee koom-koom bi ñun ñoo doy agenda bi uti na foofu noonu waaye su ñëwee naka la ñoo tasaare koom-koom bi alali réew mi agenda kon waaj na foofu noonu comme ne ñun gis nañ ne ñu néewi doole war nañ leen a jàppale dimbale béykat dimbale xale yi dimbale jigéen yi gis ne képp ku fi ba ñu mun laa faj jàng ak jàngale bi dox defar yoon yi képp ku fi nekk nga di kasi ngor loolu moom agenda yi daje nañ foofu noonu waaye naka la ñoo amee koom-koom bi foofu moo uti waaye du problème bu bari waaye lu ma laa wax mooy ne comme bu su ñëwee si coalition du caageen rek ne dañu war a génnee ki fa toog coalition mooy ne ndax di nga mën a yóbbu réew mi as a coalition for the next 5 years te suñ àndee tey ñu ne ok suñ foos lu ñu war a mooy ñu ibbi bunta bi dugga si néeg bi suñ ko ibbee dugga si néeg bi ndax nañ fa mën a nekk si saxaar si taw si naaj bu tàng si sedda si tàngoor nañ fa mën a nekk di liggéey for the next 5 years loolu moo gën a am solo waaye lépp waxtaan la ma mun maa wax fii ndax mun nañoo bokk ak quoi ndax mënuñoo bokk loolu mënuma ko fee wax waaye lu ma mooy ne politique la politique lu nekk nga si dee gis di nga gis parti yoo xam ne dinañ xeex di ñiiroo di ŋaayoo ñu toore form coalition nga gis ñoo xam ne te ñu ngi juboo lépp a ngi ba ñu form rek duuloo xaajaloo waaye ñu seet naka la moo demee rek lépp waxtaan la si politique rek.
Just joining us, this is N24 TV. So, is Dr. Ismaila Ceesay sure that he is going to win this upcoming election?
Well, obviously, English or Olaf?
English.
Well, obviously, we are confident that we will win the elections. It's a simple majority in a presidential system. It's open for anybody to win. Because we cannot use 2016 as a benchmark to make projections for what will happen in 2021. All parties are working hard. All parties are going to talk to the people. All parties are selling their agenda. They have their own strategies. And as it seems, based on what I see on the ground, the election is open for anyone to win. And we are confident that the strategy we are using, we can win the elections. But again, like I said, there are certain things that are beyond my control. That is how people vote is beyond my control. What destiny ordains is beyond my control.
Of course.
What I have control over is the hard work I do and the dedication and the sacrifice I do to ensure CEESAY wins. And I'm doing that to the best of my ability. Or we are doing that as a party to the best of our ability. We are going out to communities to discuss with the people. We are going village to village campaigns. We are engaging young people. We are engaging anybody that matters. Even the smallest hamlet in this country where we have 3 votes, we go there to talk to the people. Because at the end of the day, it's not the votes that are important, it's the people. So we have a clear strategy. We are following that strategy. We are confident that we will win if everything goes well.
So, lastly, before we take our leave, if you're just joining us, this is N24 TV, your innovative news, information, and entertainment. The program is called The Issues. We invite prominent people to talk about issues that are really concerning in the Gambia. And today, like I said, we have Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. So, what is your last advice to politicians, people like you that are going in for presidency, when it comes to developing the Gambia? I think people will say Gambia should come first, and every other thing is not necessary, but Gambia first. So what is your advice?
Well, my advice is not only to politicians. My advice is to every Gambian, including myself and yourself. That is, let us maintain the peace in whatever we do, in whatever we say. Let us ensure it is done and said in the interest of the Gambia, in the interest of maintaining peace and stability in this country. We have to unite as a country. When we are united, we are stronger. We might have political differences. That is quite normal in a functioning democracy. But those differences should not be stronger than that which binds us together. Our diversity is crucial to our development. So we have to respect each other. We have to respect each other's weaknesses and strengths. We have to acknowledge each other. We have to look at the greater interest and then focus on building this country for the next generation. Yes, we have our political differences, but I think anybody who is governing, who the people has chosen to govern, we must all support that party in our very different ways. You don't have to work within a government to support the sitting president. You can preach peace, you can give advice, you can critique. All these are part of helping the president on the government. Let us maintain the peace, let us shun tribal politics, let us talk to each other, let us maintain unity, let us make sure that whatever we do, whatever we say, we do it for the sake of the country and not for our own selfish interests. We have to sacrifice. It takes one generation to sacrifice for the fortunes of the next. It is our generation that will sacrifice, so the next generation can come and find a better Gambia, a more prosperous Gambia where they can live a dignified life.
Okay. So thank you very much. We have to sacrifice so that the next generation that will be coming will also have something to enjoy. Thank you so much, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, for coming.
Thank you.
And we have come to the end of this program. Like I said, it's called The Issues That Always Come Your Way on N24 TV. And I am Sukai Jarjusey. Until then, it's a bye from me.